K-pop demon hunters Haja Boy's breakfast meal and Huntrix meal have just dropped at McDonald's. They're calling this a battle for the fans. What do you say to that, Rumi?
It's not a battle. So glad the Saja boys could take breakfast and give our meal the rest of the day.
It is an honor to share.
No, it's our honor.
It is our larger honor.
No, really. Stop.
You can really feel the respect in this battle. Pick a meal to pick a side.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At participating McDonald's while supplies last.
Your favorite local grocery stores like Kroger, Ralph's, Fred Meyer, and more are now delivering on Uber Eats. Get 40% off your order of fresh, quality ingredients. Whether you just got home to an empty fridge or suddenly got a craving to whip up something new, you can get everything you need delivered in as little as 25 minutes. Get 40% off your order with code Kroger2026. Plus, members get $0 delivery fees. Order now on Uber Eats. Orders of $30 or more save up to $25. Ends 4/30/26. See app for details.
He's the type of guy you get halfway home from the theme park before you're like, oh, where's Doug? Oh, no, we have to go back. My wallet's in his fanny pack, so. Oh, do not feel bad for Doug. He's terrible. Every time he tells a story, somewhere, a child loses a balloon.
Live from Joe's mom's basement, it's the Stacking Benjamin Show. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and do you know someone struggling with debt? Because today we find some solutions you may not have known existed. In our headline segment, let's talk real estate. It's been a tough market, but is there hope on the horizon? We'll share some new data from the Wall Street Journal. And don't you worry, there's nothing I'd rather do than share some amazing trivia with someone as cool as you. And now, two guys who can switch from cool to cold to hot in seconds. It's Joe. Why am I saying it like this? I always say it the same every time, and if I get off on the wrong note, it's, yeah.
Oh, hey everybody, welcome to the Stacking Benjamin Show. And
we're just running with this? We're just going to let this go?
Just fold the parachute up, save it for another day, man.
Okay.
We'll try again on Friday.
Wow, crashed and burned on this
We
one.
go 3 days a week so Doug can, find the mojo and get it back. But hey, you were on a roll there for a while. I was sure it was coming in strong. It was good. And then it wasn't. Now there's tears.
Like a skier who crashes at the finish line.
Did you see, OG, that John Oliver paying off all that debt? How many years ago was that, Doug? Is it 2 or 3 years ago?
I was going to say, 2 to 4 years ago.
10 to 15, but sure.
Was it 10 to 15 years ago?
No way.
No. Come on. Well, John Oliver dug
2016.
Oh, man.
That's like 5 years ago, like we said.
I swear. 2016, John Oliver paid off a bunch of debt. And it was medical debt. And a lot of this debt, and John kind of dove into this back in 2016, sadly, a lot of hospitals still make it very difficult for you to navigate the system. Well, if you know somebody that has that issue, we've got a wonderful young woman, Imani Vance, joining us today, who, I'll let her tell her story. It's going to be quite a story of all of a sudden realizing you owe $45,000 to a hospital and you're 19 years old.
Congratulations.
Hey,
guess
what?
Welcome to adulthood.
Yeah. And of course, different, OG, than buying a car where you know ahead of time the sticker price is $45,000. She finds out after the fact, right? Mm-hmm. That's what you owe. So it's a tough system. And if you know somebody who's navigating that, well, there's lots of stories of resilience no matter what you're facing. We got Imani Vance coming up next, telling her story about how she was able to get out of this medical debt situation with some help from some really cool people. But before that, we got a couple sponsors who help us keep on keeping on. We're going to hear from them. And then Imani Vance joins me to tell us her story about a surprisingly large bill. You may not know that when we started Stacking Benjamins, it was a blog. And even then, just the startup cost, I remember thinking, is this the right thing? And what if I write things and nobody comes, right? Well, luckily, that didn't end up happening. But starting something new isn't just hard. It's terrifying. There's so much work. You're not sure whether it's going to work out. You're not sure if anybody's going to read it. And then we change it to a podcast. Is anybody actually going to listen, right? What if nobody wants all the stuff that we have? Well, had I used Shopify, it would have been even easier because with their expertise, their helpful tools, and their easy to use platform, that's something that would have made Stacking Benjamins more effective much, much more quickly. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S. Names you've heard of like Heinz and Mattel, Shopify, Gymshark, Aviator Nation, Allbirds, also all Shopify. Get started with your own design studio with hundreds of ready-to-use templates. Shopify helps you build a beautiful online store that matches your brand style. And best yet, Shopify is your commerce expert with world-class expertise in everything from managing inventory to international shipping to processing returns and beyond. And did I mention that iconic purple Shop Pay button? It's used by millions of businesses around the world. It's why Shopify has the best converting checkout on the planet. It also helps boost conversions, meaning less carts going abandoned and more sales for you. So you're stacking Benjamins much more quickly. Time to turn those what ifs into with Shopify today. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/SB. Go to shopify.com/SB. That's shopify.com/SB. Spring cleaning's made its way to my closet. This time of year always makes me rethink exactly what's in my closet. Really want to keep fewer things, but I also want to keep better ones. I want to feel confident, and to feel confident, looking the part's a big piece of that. So I want pieces that are well made and that are easy to wear all the time. And that's why I keep coming back to Quince. The fabrics feel elevated. The fits are thoughtful. Pricing actually makes sense. As I'm swapping out and I'm cutting, the few additions I'm making all come from Quince. Quince makes high-quality, everyday essentials using premium materials like 100% European linen. They're insanely soft, flow-knit activewear fabric. Their men's linen pants and shirts are lightweight, they're breathable, they're comfortable. Basically, the perfect layer for spring. The pants strike the right balance between laid back and refined. If you saw the video of me on stage at Retire Meet, those pants are from Quince. It was really cool. I came off stage and Christine Benz from Morningstar getting ready to go on behind me and said, "Love your pants." Not generally. I absolutely love them. I think they make me look put together without trying too hard. And they're flow-knit activewear, moisture wicking, anti-odor, soft enough that you'll actually want to wear it all day. The best part is their prices. This is important, stackers. They are 50 to 60% less than similar brands. How? Quince works directly with ethical factories, cuts out the middlemen, so you're paying for quality, not brand markup. Everything's designed to last and make getting dressed easy, which is another thing I think we all want. I love those pants that I wore on stage. It's the cashmere sweater that every time I wear it, Cheryl goes, "That is my favorite sweater on you." It looks great, feels great, and I don't have to have 50 things in my closet. So, like I am, refresh your wardrobe with Quince. Go to quince.com/SB for free shipping and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada, too. Go to quince.com/SB for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/SB. And I'm super happy she's coming down the stairs to Mom's basement. Imani Vance is here. How are you?
I'm doing good, Joe, and yourself? I'm happy to be here.
Well, I am super happy that you are going to share your story because you're going to help so many people. And you know what's funny is so many people get embarrassed by things like medical debt when it's just life happens. And to have you tell your story about what happened to you, I think is going to help a bunch of people. And sometimes this stuff comes out of the blue. So let's just get into it. If you don't mind, you decided to join the Coast Guard. Tell me why you decided to join the Coast Guard.
Joe, I'll be honest, I was 19 when I joined. I'm 20 now, but literally last year, I joined the Coast Guard because I wanted to be able to find community. I was ready to serve. I was ready to learn, ready to be a hero. Then my appendix said, actually, no, thank you. So it tapped out before I did. I didn't get a uniform. I didn't get a boat. Instead, I got a $43,000 medical bill. Not exactly the souvenir I had in mind.
No, not the Coast Guard experience you were hoping for. How long had you been in the Coast Guard when this happened?
It was really only 2, 3 months,
Oh
Joe.
my
So
God.
even when it happened, it was in the fall and I left like right before Thanksgiving. So holidays were happening. People would probably wonder, I'm surprised. Being a recruit in training, it should have been able to be a thing where they would be able to perform the surgery and everything. But I'll be honest, due to the Coast Guard's resources and the timing of when it all happened, I would have had to go off base and get a medical appointment for that to even happen. And with their limited resources they had on the base, they only had like an x ray to be able to examine me and try to give me some sort of diagnosis. It was pretty vague. And the only thing they had was my symptoms of obviously I couldn't march, I couldn't do what I needed to do, that it made it a lot harder for me to perform my duties and my tasks. So, given everything that was up against me and really I had sepsis at the time. As soon as I even home at the time, they gave me an ultimatum. They told me either I could wait on an off base medical appointment, which was going to take about 2 weeks given the holidays and basically the backlog of other people that needed to have their medical surgeries and other diagnosis as well, because people also had knee fractures, even just other injuries beyond what I knew. But given all of those things, all I had to think about was the fact that I'm not feeling good. I was sitting in medical hold, and for being in that amount of time, I've met other recruits that have been in there for about 6 months, that they've had to be there a lot longer. Typically, it's a month that you would have to take off, but given the resources and even just the intensity of training, because the Coast Guard's basic training is about second to the Marines. So it's a lot more intense that I would have to be able to cultivate. I'd have to be able to rehabilitate and just heal. And with that, and just given the holidays and missing my family, for me personally, it just was not worth it at the time. With that happening, I came home. I went to the hospital. They told me that it was great that I came in just in time because I was in severe sepsis. Mind you, I didn't even really notice it being that big of a deal. All I noticed was just the stomach pain. But when they told me that I had an abscess around my appendix, they basically said, we need to first get the infection down. So that's really what happened. The first thing that had to happen when I was hospitalized in Wellstar, they first had to get the infection down because the abscess was around my appendix. Even then, it was a week in the hospital. It was during Thanksgiving. I was sitting there. Wicked came out at the time, and I was devastated because I wanted to first graduate and then immediately go see it. But that didn't go the way that I planned. So basically, I got into the hospital. I sat there for a week, and then I was discharged from the hospital. Typically, a regular appendix is usually 10 millimeters diameter. Mine was 20. So at that time, immediately my appendix, it got a lot bigger and it was about to burst. The doctor and medical officials gave me another ultimatum as well. They said, you don't have to take it out now, but there is a possibility that there could be some leaks, some other things, or another abscess could form. So immediately I knew, with all of that, I'm glad that I did leave. I did the best thing that was for me.
100%.
They didn't even know that I had an abscess for them to even have to treat that first. So it would have been a lot more difficult and a lot more invasive than what I was going to be wanting to take on, given that I was just a recruit. I was an Echo One. I was basically a seaman recruit. I'm just starting out, and it's like I was a veteran.
Back when I was a financial planner, I actually worked with a bunch of people in the Coast Guard at Selfridge Air Force Base outside of Detroit. Hello, Coast Guard people in Selfridge, some fine women and men, and just a bunch of badasses. But talk about being a badass, walking around with sepsis and really not knowing it, just knowing that you have the hurt, and then getting that cleared up and then finding out that you have to get rid of your appendix, like just all this stuff, like one after another.
All of these things. Appendix is so simple. You have the appendicitis, you get the surgery. Even then, Joe, I'll give you a little bit more background to that. The reason I even got appendicitis in the first place was I unfortunately got influenza. As all military people will talk about, you always get some sort of crud. So they usually call it a crud. That's usually just a all-known sickness because everybody that comes in from different parts of the world, different parts of the country, usually everyone carries different sicknesses, they carry different immunity factors, just different things. And
Every time I go to a convention, it happens.
absolutely. So when everyone's all packed together, especially with that kind of intense environment stress, that also wears on the body as well. Unfortunately, I caught the flu and I was hospitalized in basic training during that time. And what I didn't know and what the doctors gave me out here as a civilian, they told me that when the flu passed through my body, typically when appendicitis does happen, usually it's due to the basics of waste or even fecal matter that's left over and it travels to your appendix. In my case, it was a virus that got left over and it may have seemed like it was gone, but no, it still said, no, I'm here. And it went right to my appendix instead.
Do you know what's wild is you talk about this like you are a doctor, which I know ahead of time, you didn't know any of this stuff. And now it's like you have your PhD in appendixes. Take me to the point of your story, though. I just want to know where you are when you open this bill and get maybe, I would think, the surprise of your life. Like what went through your mind? Where were you?
Let's think about it. I'm 19 years old. The most debt I ever had was credit cards, obviously, running out my
Sure.
parents' credit cards, things like that. I never really had to deal with that kind of thing when it came to debt. And when I heard of those hidden fees that happen, it was like just a wave of shock, a wave of fear came over me. And typically, when it comes to debt, it may not seem like a big deal, but $43,000.
I know. I'm 19 years old and I've got $43,000. And just to be clear, this is not some of the stuff, Imani, that we talk about in Stacking Benjamins a fair amount. This is not lifestyle creep. This is not overspending or going to the mall because it's almost the holidays, so not buying too many gifts for people. This is life just happening. And bam, here it is.
I never expected this. And this goes nothing against the military in any way, shape, or form. Even now, post me, Joe, I am looking to go into the United States Navy.
Oh, cool.
With everything, I have nothing against the military. But I will admit that, given my short time of service, I did not serve 180 days. The VA unfortunately could not give me the medical assistance that I needed. So it wasn't as easy for me to be able to get discharged, go immediately to a VA hospital and be able to no. And even with Coast Guard, a lot of their records is in paper and it's not even digitized. So I couldn't even get any of my medical records. It's basically like it didn't even exist. Besides the fact that I have my DD 214 to indicate that I did serve in the United States military. And 2 days afterwards, I was put into the hospital. So with that, it was a lot harder. It wasn't as easy. So with me being in the hospital, I had a preconceived notion that I thought, well, I served a little bit, maybe I'll get some sort of support. And they told me if I wanted to even get that support, I would have had to wait a couple months, paperwork backlogs. There was a presidential election going on. So even with the change of command, a lot of different things were happening. So it was a lot harder than I just wanted to take. And my parents, they supported me as much as they could. They were honest with me. They said, Imani, medical debt's not a big deal. A lot of people in America have it. And even if they did, a lot of people wouldn't function. They wouldn't be able to have a job or anything. But the kind of responsible person that I am, and being as young as I am, accumulating that kind of debt, all I automatically thought was imagine people that have cancer. And it's a lot harder to be able to just be able to look at it and be like, oh, well, that's money. And I feel like just the common working person shouldn't have to deal with that.
I think it's great that your parents tried to reassure you, hey, a lot of people have medical debt. You're not the only person. You're not alone. This is not Imani being a unicorn. Other people have gotten over this hill. You'll get over this hill too. But you must have also at the same time felt like there's a bunch of medical billing stuff now that surprised you. Surprise number one was my time in the military didn't matter because I wasn't there long enough. It's almost like somebody starting any new job. What else surprised you about medical billing? And what's different about medical billing now that you're probably become a PhD in this as well, Imani, like you have about your appendix? What's different about medical billing than credit cards, student loans, or car loans? How's this debt different?
I feel like the debt is just different, Joe, because let's be honest, when you're in a hospital and you're trying to get better, you're not thinking about those kind of things. You're not thinking about the hidden fees. I feel like maybe it's some sort of the adrenaline. It's like when you are buying a new car, when you're getting something from your credit cards, you don't think about those contracts. You don't think about the hidden fees. You don't think about those little things, those little minute details that come up, especially when you're in a hospital and all you're doing is signing your name. You're constantly being asked, what's your name, your full name, what's your social, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, and that's job number one that's different
Mm-hmm.
than a credit card bill. Not only is it opaque, like you're talking about, you got all these little fees, you don't get a bill until after the fact.
That's right.
It isn't like, hey, here's a new sweater and pay for it and you can take it home. It's here is the medical treatment. And then the $43,000 bill shows up later on.
And it's like when you are in a hospital bed trying to get better, it's only just going to bring on more stress to have to think about the financial burdens of that. But it's especially harder when thousands and thousands of Americans, especially right now with what's going on, a lot of people don't have insurance. It's just what it is. A lot of Americans right now do not have insurance. And the ones that do, or they did, the Medicaid subsidies, all these different things, it's a lot harder to be able to just obtain insurance at a very reasonable cost compared to other countries. So when you're just sitting and then after that, you get the bill and automatically they tell you, hey, you owe this amount of money. It was great taking care of you and all, but this is what you owe. It's automatically like, where's the ambulance? Because now I'm going to have to go right back in because you just gave me a heart attack.
We're going to talk about where you got help from here in a little bit. But initially, you're on your own. You got this bill. Negotiating isn't intuitive to 90% of people. Did you think to like call them and say, hey, can we get a lower number? Or is there any negotiation you tried?
Absolutely, Joe. I mean, even for me, it felt like, I'll be honest, I like to dig deep. So whenever I have a challenge that comes over me, I don't immediately just say, oh, well, and just give up. I immediately start to research. So for me, what I did was I went online, I go onto Reddit and social media platforms. I saw on Reddit of a post that talked about their medical debt. And given their story, they said, try $4. I didn't even know financial assistance existed. Nobody mentioned it. Like I went online, I filled out a form. I gave them a situation of my income, what I just got out of. And when I told them that, it basically, it's like they wiped out everything. They wiped out all of my debt.
Let me ask you about this then. This is hospital financial assistance. So that's
Yes.
what $4 is. And in plain English, what is hospital financial assistance? What does that mean?
Hospital financial assistance is like a small program. They're able to help you out when you cannot pay off your medical bills. Some hospitals had a financial assistance program that told me, hey, if you need help, we got you. We need you to fill out a bunch of these forms. And let's be honest, at my age, I don't really care about forms. I kind of just say, well, this is what happened to me. Can't you guys just believe me? And they're like, well, no, we got to get all this other thing. So for me, I feel like $4 was definitely a tool. They were like a friend, like a just an angel on my shoulder to be able to tap me and be my advocate. They were like my lawyer.
They were like, we got the forms. So what you're saying
Exactly.
is the hospital has forms, they have assistance programs, and this is most hospitals around the country. They have a hospital assistance program, but they really give you this stack of stuff to fill out. You freak out, but $4 and groups like this have seen the forms before. Hospitals, of course, don't advertise that they even have help because they want, of course, you to pay if you can. At what point did you find $4? Had the hospital sent your bill to collections or was it before collections?
It was slightly before collections. I was really, really close because really what was happening, given my circumstance, I was really trying to look for help from the VA. I was really trying to look from help from my employment only because this did happen under their care. So I did want to be able to go directly to the source and be able to find some help as much as I could. But when they finally explained to me after just a while after searching and waiting, they told me that because of the lack of time that I served the minimum, it made it a lot harder for me to be able to get the assistance that I deserved. So with that, all I did was, again, late night scrolling. I literally just looked up and saw that there was something called $4. And at first I thought, this is a scam. These kind of things happen. Usually it's like these ghost advertisements that says, hey, we're going to help you. But then they really are trying to steal your money. But $4, when I saw these other testimonials, And when I really heard how they can be basically that form filler for you, kind of like how TurboTax does it for you, and they help you fill out your forms and help you with your taxes. That's basically what Dollar 4 was doing for me. They took all of my information, they took all of my hospital, they saw everything, they saw my income, they saw everything, and they just talked to the hospital for me.
It is such a great point you made that there are so many, when people get in trouble, there are so many credit relief programs that are scams. We've had people on talking about that before. There's so many people get into hospital debt. You get led astray by people that are going to try to make money off of you. Can we talk about how the process went when you started working with Dollar 4? Because whether somebody chooses Dollar 4 or a similar company, a similar institution, there are some institutions out there that can help you. So you contact Dollar 4. What happens then? Do you meet with somebody? Do you get on like a Zoom type call with them, or do you have a chat online? Like, how does this whole thing start?
All I did was go on their website. I believe there was an area where it said you could submit a form. And when I started to fill out that form, again, it is some forms that you still have to deal with, but it's a whole lot it's significantly shorter than what you'd have to deal with the regular hospital. Because the hospitals are here like, well, we need your W-2s, we need your income, we need all these different verifications, a check of a check of a check. I didn't want to do all that, but what Dollar 4 did was that here's just a simple form of how much do you make, an estimate, then just a slight verification of that. It could be a check stub or anything like that. Then the next thing they did was put your story. So basically, I told them what happened to me. I gave them my DD-214. I gave them my medical notes and everything that happened. And I gave them my medical bills. And basically, they said, well, clearly, they said, we'll take care of it. Because after maybe 2 to 3 weeks, I got a notification from Wellstar that said you were eligible for 100% of financial assistance. Not 20, not 30, not 50, not 70, 100.
And this is, I think, an important lesson, Stackers. And obviously, for many of you, this might not apply. But if you've got somebody in your family who is dealing with medical debt, I think some takeaways here, Imani, are number one, nonprofit hospitals are legally required to offer assistance. Many for-profit hospitals also offer assistance. These income thresholds they have way higher than most people think. Way, way higher. More of you are eligible for medical assistance than you think, but the hospital makes the application confusing on purpose because they want you to pay.
And they want to make it where you are manipulated. You know, you're basically going to say, I don't want to do this, or you put in the wrong thing, you say the wrong thing, just the wrong input, and automatically they'll pass it by and say you're rejected.
Yeah, 100%. So what Dollar 4 does is they're a group that exists 100% just to help you navigate. And like you, Imani, when I first heard about Dollar 4, which has been a little while now, I was like, oh, just another scam company. And man, just all of the people that have gotten great help from them.
And it's real, and they were real stories. It's not AI. It's not these fake testimonials. They are real people. Some people that have gone through even worse situations than mine, even ongoing medical problems and medical traumas, and they still were able to get coverage. That was amazing to me.
Yeah, they exist 100% to help people get through medical debt. They will see if you qualify. And then, Imani, like for you, they help you fill out the patient form. They prepare the application and they send it to the hospital, exactly what they did for you. And then they work with you and the hospital to get you medical relief. So after you found out that you were eligible, did you have more help from them after that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when I immediately got the financial assistance, the first thing I did was I had to get a post-op just to make sure that I was recovering and rehabilitating well. And of course, I did fine. Thankfully, the appendicitis, there's 2 types. So I could have gotten the open surgery, basically where they completely cut me open and they would have had to remove my appendix that way. But then there's been new treatments called the laparoscopic, tiny little incisions they make in my body. And what they did was just tiny little incisions, little holes, about 3 weeks, nothing.
It's so powerful. This is the kicker, Stackers. What did you pay for all this help from Dollar 4?
Nothing.
She paid nothing. Dollar 4 is sponsored by generous donors. For people that really need help, they get it. which is amazing. And I know this is ending up sounding like a advertisement for $4, but truly what it's an advertisement for is there's help out there if you need it. And there's good help. Man, if we can shine a light, and Stackers, if you can help us shine a light on organizations like this, then we can start wiping out medical debt. Because Imani, now the medical debt now is gone. How does that change your world? What are you thinking about? What's happening now that changed the second that you had this $43,000 ogre off your back?
For me, it was amazing. I mean, the first thing that happened, I automatically, like, my stomach dropped. I was in denial. I was like, there's no way. There's no way that they actually cleared it. Because a lot of times I get different stories. I had to do research and look to see, and people usually say, well, maybe, just set up a payment plan and everything. But the minimum payment plans that they had set up for me was about $300 to $500 a month. And for me to be able to pay that kind of thing off, I was like, it's like I'm paying my car note already, that it feels like that's just another bill that I don't need. I would rather pay that on a house or an apartment somewhere I'm living, not over something that was out of my control.
You're going to be paying for it forever.
Exactly. It wasn't even like it's out of my control that these kind of things happen, especially just medical debt and just medical situations. A lot of times it really is out of your control. And when you have to pay, you're basically paying for your punishment, something that wasn't even your fault. It's sad.
Well, come on. It was your fault. Your damn appendix. If you would have had a talk with your appendix ahead of time.
It's true. If anybody's listening to this, if you've got medical bills haunting you like a bad ex, please check with your hospital's financial assistance policy.
Amen. And if it's a stack, then look at a group like $4. And we'll link to, by the way, $4 on our show notes page at Stacking Benjamins. Hey, Imani, good luck with the Navy. My dad served in the Navy. I've got 2 nephews serving in the Navy. Navy Federal has been a longtime sponsor of Stacking Benjamins. So thank you for your future service and for trying the first time around. So glad that you're going to go help keep our country safe. And thank you for telling your story. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome, Joe. I'd like to help in any way I can.
We're looking for the answer and correct spelling. Old MacDonald had a what? Farm. E-I-E-I-O.
Hey there, Stackers. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. And wow, these medical bills sound like highway robbery, don't they? $45,000 of work and you don't find out till it's over? That doesn't sit right with me. Something else that doesn't sit right with me is when I see these neighborhood kids getting into trouble. We need to be better mentors, Stackers. Check out today's trivia question. It was on today's date back in 1981 that the youngest bank robber of all time stole $118 at gunpoint from a New York bank. How old was he? I'll be back right after I ask Joe's mom for a photo ID before I get her another gin and tonic. This reminds me, you can never be too safe.
Dell PCs with Intel Inside are built for the moments you plan and the ones you don't. They're for those all-night study sessions, the moment you're working from a cafe and realize every outlet's taken, the times you're deep in your flow and can't be interrupted by an auto update. That's why Dell builds tech that adapts to you. Built with long-lasting batteries so you're not scrambling for an outlet, and built-in intelligence that makes updates around your schedule, not in the middle of it. Find technology built for the way you work at Dell.com/Dell PCs. Built for you.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why drivers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey there, Stackers. I'm basement bartender and guy who just learned what happens when you ask a lady of a certain age how old she is. Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. To be clear, I think Joe's mom is wiser and smarter much, much more than she is older. Okay, can I throw away this paper with that note on it now, Ma? Can I just get it? Oh, I wasn't supposed to say that she wrote it. Man, this is very complicated. Well, hopefully I don't mess up the trivia answer too. Here was the question, which I picked because of Imani's hospital bill. On today's date in history, the youngest bank robber ever took off with $118, but later surrendered to the FBI. How old was he? The youngest bank robber ever was a whopping 9 years old. Not a great way to start your life, kid. And now, two guys who help shine a light on those companies stealing from you. Back to Joe and OG.
OG, how old were you when you robbed your first bank?
Bank of Mom.
Bank of Mom.
It's like 13, probably.
Did you ever do that?
Yeah, I did.
You did? You just reach right into the purse and grab a 20?
No, way worse, actually. I knew my mom's PIN number.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Does Mom listen to the show?
Yeah, she knows about this, and she got me. She was like, hey, so something happened with our bank account, and the good news is, like, she just brought it up at dinner. She's like, the good news is the bank has all these security cameras, and it's not going to take them long at all to figure out who it was. And then they can go arrest the person who stole the money out of our account. And I was like,
she's just staring at you.
Oh,
yeah. And then you're sitting there eating dinner going, oh boy, how do I get out of this one? She was very gracious. I learned my lesson. Don't take money out of Mom's purse or bank account for that matter.
No, that's a good
Turnabout's
lesson.
fair play though, because she has an Amex card that's tied to my account, and she has no problem reminding me when she charges on it.
That's an answer for parents right there, Doug. Guilt runs strong. Just go ahead and let your kid steal a couple $100 maybe, or maybe $100 early on. And then
in her mind, it was like an investment.
Exactly.
She's like, I could put 100 in the S&P, IVV, I could VTSAX and chill, or I could let my kid steal $100. Hopefully he's successful.
I'll put it in the OGSAX.
And then I'm going to get a copy of his Amex card. No, don't take money from your folks, kids.
It's such an important story that Imani told, and I think it was very brave of her to just admit, I didn't know anything about how the system worked. I'm so happy that a young woman like that's serving our country. So I wish her well on her adventure into the Navy, which is, I think, going to be great. And I'm so happy that we found this organization, $4. And by the way, if you need that link, it'll be in our show notes. It's stackingbenjamins.com. If you've got a relative or a friend who really, really needs help navigating, man, what a cool nonprofit. Let's take a look at a headline, guys.
Hello, darlings. And now it's time for your favorite part of the show, our Stacking Benjamins headlines.
Doug, you saw this recently in the Wall Street Journal, and I wanted to run this by all of our stackers because I found this to be really interesting.
I did too, actually. When I saw the headline, what grabbed me was the word swinging. And it was in the headline in the Wall Street Journal. I'm like, wow, what's the Wall Street Journal going to cover about this? And then I was disappointed. But you were excited about it when you saw the headline. I was crestfallen.
Clickbait hits people different ways.
Exactly.
I might have seen the rest of the headline, which was the fact that the housing market is swinging toward buyers. This could be good news for people that have been trying to accumulate cash, OG, and maybe buy their first home. This piece was written by Nicole Friedman. Nicole writes, many home shoppers have given up on the depressed housing market where sales are stuck at a 30-year low, but those buying are enjoying discounts at the highest rate in years. About 62% of buyers last year purchased a home below the original listing price. That was the highest proportion since 2019, according to a new analysis by real estate brokerage Redfin. It strikes me, OG, that interest rates go up, right? And people get locked into their house and the low interest rate, and new buyers with these higher interest rates, if they had done back of the envelope calculations, those monthly payments now may have changed. The amount of money that they needed may have changed for the down payment. Everything starts moving. I mean, the real estate market's cyclical. You think this good news is going to last? Can people finally start planning their next move?
I think it's interesting when people say things like, and you said it twice, two different ways, like stuck in their house or stuck in their mortgage. You have to remove that from your vernacular. It just is what it is. And now you just have to make the next decision based on the evaluation of the data that you have now. I mean, everybody thinks like 2.5% mortgages was the new normal. It wasn't. It was a short period of time where if you were lucky enough to get in there, great. But now, like you said, people feel like the luck is actually a bad thing to have because they're comparing the future mortgage payment or the future interest rate to their current one going, well, I can't quote unquote afford to do this thing. Things are going to change, whether it's pricing or whether it's the borrowing costs, whether it's the other tax situation that goes on with houses. So that's going to change. I mean, imagine if all of a sudden they said, hey, there's no more property taxes in this community or this county or whatever. Like, what would that do to housing prices? All this to say, there's always going to be changes that are happening. And as you're evaluating, hey, do I take the job and move? Do I buy this house or don't I? You can't look backwards and say, if I would have only done this. Well, yeah, if I'd only taken all of my money and dumped it in Bitcoin at 10 cents a thing, I'd be a gazillionaire. Like, I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have taken all of my money on leverage and margined the hell out of my life and bought a bunch of Nvidia stock, but I didn't, and it's like, you can't live your life looking backwards, trying to decide what I want to do in the future based on things that happened in the past.
What about this idea of people getting bigger discounts on houses, paying less than sticker price? Now, looking at this, there's a chart, and I'll link to it in the show notes for people who have a Wall Street Journal subscription. But the average person now is paying 8% less than what the price looks like on the house. I mean, should we bone up on our negotiating skills?
Well, I mean, you should have probably a realtor to do this, but I find this interesting too, that the commentary on we got a discount. It's like, just because you price something incorrectly and you get it for a correct price doesn't make you got a discount on it.
But I think this is hard for somebody who's just starting out because they see the price of a house. If I'm just starting out, I see that, I go into Target and I see the price of bread. I'm like, okay, that's the price. Where the house, that ain't the case.
Right.
That's our starting negotiating spot. And the fact is, people are now able to negotiate that down further than they were as soon as 2 years ago.
Is that a discount, or is it like the sellers are they living in fantasy land just like buyers were as it relates to rates? At one point in time, Zillow said my house is worth $1 million. I think it's worth $1 million. It's like, well, no one wants to buy it at $1 million. People will buy it at $875. Therefore, your house is worth $875.
That's another headline, by the way, when you talk about, sellers, and maybe there's something going on with sellers, OG. Another headline recently was that we're seeing people that make good money, people with good income streams, are starting to default on their debt and really get into credit card debt. Like, the numbers are starting to stack up there too. Do you think that these two kind of tie together, that you might have somebody who's a little more distressed because of the fact that they need the cash today?
I haven't seen the credit card or, auto defaults or, mortgage default numbers. I think there's always going to be this ebb and flow of people that get a little overextended and then have to tighten their belts a little bit and then get a little overextended and tighten their belts. And the key for all of this is to not play in this game. Like, if you can avoid this roller coaster ride of whether it's debt management or cash flow or whatever, always building in enough margin of safety to allow for the ebbs and flows.
Build that margin into your plan. Well, look at Imani. We just heard OG Imani's story, and now there's no way a 19-year-old's going to get $45,000 saved, right? But I'm sure for the rest of her life, she's going to have that emergency fund. Like, she's going, might not be 45 grand, but I do know, because I learned very, very quickly that, man, stuff can go the wrong way in a hurry.
Right. I mean, that's an example of unfortunate luck, right? That's not even like, that's like one of those ones where you're going like, God, why me? Right? It's like, so I'm talking about the self-inflicted things.
Sure.
Bad things happen. It's just, unfortunately, but if you can avoid some of that, whether it's like having, a little bit of an extra emergency fund or cash flow wise, paying attention to it. And the interesting thing, and what I think we want to remind people of is, and I know where people, I know the kind of feedback that we might hear, which is, yeah, it's all easy to say when you make X dollars, but if you're like me and you're making 70 grand and I'm trying to put food on the table, like there isn't any margin. And I get that. I 100% understand that because I know, Joe, you were there, Doug, you were there, I've been there. Like we've all lived through that. The important thing is like when the next good news happens, when you get the $5,000 bonus, when you get the 3% pay raise, whatever, and that you're starting to build in a little bit of extra every single time those good news things happen, you just have to, for a short period of time, go, I can't take that. I'm not owed this money. Like, again, we hear that, right? It's like, oh, I need a vacation. I'm going to go, I just got a $5,000 bonus. I'm going to go spend $6,000 on a vacation because I'm due, right? I'm owed it. You don't understand how hard I've been working. I need the time off. It's like, I do understand how hard you've been working. I know what it's like. We've all been there. If you can build that margin early, then from that point forward, you're good. Then you can spend all the extra, right? Like if you say, I'm making 70, but until I make, from 70 to 80, that $10,000 gap, I'm saving. And then from 80 to 90, 90 to 100, just spend all that. That's fine. You still have that $10,000 gap, if that makes sense. Give yourself the benefit of being more conservative. And as it specifically relates to houses, it's okay to not buy the $1 million house. And I know, well, you don't know what it's like to live in Chicago. I know, I got it. But maybe you just can't do that one. You have to have a little bit smaller one. Or I read an article the other day, you just rent. Like there's an article about somebody in New York that's renting and they figured out the math that they're going to have more money in 20 years by renting versus the down payment and having that money taken out of their brokerage account and the taxes and the maintenance fees and all the stuff that goes into owning a place.
Well, and I think a lesson here too is don't forget to negotiate. I mean, they can say no, big deal.
Well, as it relates to buying stuff, absolutely. You should negotiate almost everything.
Always put your negotiation hat on. And if you don't think you're good at that, I mean, that's your next curriculum, right? Build yourself a curriculum, find people who are great at negotiation and dive into that. If I'm selling my house right now, should this data worry me that prices seem to be coming down?
I mean, it would worry me if I bought the house a year ago.
Well, this is why, we don't buy houses and sell them the next year. Because if you bought it a year ago and you're thinking about selling already, I mean, just the cost, the transaction costs are going to kill you even without all this data that we're looking at.
Yeah.
But I also think when it's more competitive, man, when we were looking at houses a few years ago, just the staging your house, every statistic you see shows that spending just a little time. And if you can't afford a stager early on, I was moving from one place to another and I hired a stager, not to do it, OG, because I couldn't afford the stager, but I could afford to pay them for 1 hour of their time to walk around my house and show me what to do. And that was amazing. That was money so well spent, having them just take me around. And because again, thinking about negotiation, I'm like, I don't have any cash. How do I get this done? But I know I need my house staged. Well, instead of paying all that cash to have somebody else do it, for me at the time, paying them for an hour was good stuff.
Use AI. Take a picture of your living room and say, what should I do in here to make this ready to sell it?
And the first thing I ask, your house already looks great, but let's make it look even better.
Yeah.
It's going to be like our best friend. Wow, you live in an amazing place.
Mine told me to hang pictures to hide the water stains on the walls.
There it is.
Which I never would have thought of.
From all the crying Doug does when the open doesn't go the way that he wants, creates water stains all over the walls. We'll link to this on our show notes page at stackingbenjamins.com. Before we say goodbye, Doug, we have to go out on the back porch for a second because we've got a meetup in southern Minnesota. If you're in the Mankato area,
why?
What else are you doing?
It's so cold there.
Yeah, move away and come back when it's warm. Or I think you need to huddle with some other stackers because we're having a cool meetup tonight. Tonight at 6:30 at Maverick Innovation Gateway. That's, of course, on the other MSU campus, Minnesota State University campus.
Minnesota State or Mankato State?
Minnesota State. Minnesota State University. The Mavericks, OG. The Mavericks. So Maverick Innovation Center, come join Tim and Rob and the gang And we had a great first meetup a month ago. So hope to continue that tonight. I know they've got a fantastic agenda for the meeting.
Also in the back porch, I want to make sure we talk about a great note we received from Marcia, who lives at the end of the earth. Like if you're a flat earther like me, you wonder where's the edge? It's where Marcia lives in New Brunswick, Canada. Like that's a real place.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Isn't Brunswick the name of the bowling company?
Yeah. That's where all the bowling equipment must come from. I just thought it was a fictitious place, but it's where they make all the best
bowling capital
bowling
of
stuff.
the North America.
Right. Marcia is a 61-year-old Canadian woman who loves the podcast.
Good day, mate.
Although I feel old with each poke at Joe about his age. Love the dynamic between Joe, OG, and Doug. Been listening for a few years now. This isn't even a review. This is just, she put this out there for the world to see on Facebook. She wears noise-canceling headphones with AirPods inside so I can listen while riding the mower and have snow blown that way as well. I'm like, that sentence structure, Marcia, makes me think you're snow blowing and riding the mower inside. I don't know what happens in New Brunswick. It's a magical place.
Bowling.
She lives in New Brunswick, and Americans always say, where is that? You're right. We do. They share a border with Maine. We're not even sure Maine is real, Marcia. So awesome. Thanks for writing in, Marcia. Appreciate that.
All right, Doug, what should we have learned today?
Wow. Just not even letting Joe talk. I like it. I like this new format we've got. So what's stacked up on our to-do list for today? Take some advice from Imani Vance. Having work done, get the bill ASAP and hopefully before you get the procedure completed. Second, that emergency fund, it comes in handy when bad things happen, huh? But you might ask, what's the big lesson? If you're going to card Joe's mom, you might as well just begin washing windows ahead of time because that's what you'll end up doing anyways. You've been warned. Thanks to Imani Vance for joining us today and sharing her story. And good luck in the Navy, Imani. You're going to serve our country well, I'm sure. Also, if you or someone you know needs help navigating the hospital relief system, introduce them to $4.org. That's $FOR.org. We'll include a link to them in our show notes so you can get busy wiping out that debt. This show is the property of SB Podcast, LLC, copyright 2026, and is created by Joe Saul-Sehy. You'll find out about our awesome team at stackingbenjamins.com, along with the show notes and how you can find us on YouTube and all the usual social media spots. Come say hello. And oh yeah, before I go, not only should you not take advice from these nerds, don't take advice from people you don't know. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Before making any financial decisions, speak with a real financial advisor. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and we'll see you next time back here at the Stacking Benjamin Show. This is the after show, the part of the show that nobody's allowed to talk about under penalty of social embarrassment, I think.
Public flogging.
Public flogging, which we got to bring that back, right?
So there's a few people I got in mind that would be.
So many of our social ills would just disappear if that came back. Like the stockade in the town square. Anyway, you had a skiing adventure that may have topped our skiing adventure. You teased me with this. I want to know the rest of the story.
Well, I had scheduled this ski trip with my son, but then kind of last minute school kind of got in the way. A stupid thing called college. No, he
life.
and rightfully so. He was like, Dad, it's Christmas break. I don't know that I want to travel. And it was a good thing because the ski season out west is absolute garbage as it relates to the amount of snow.
Dog poo-poo.
It is wild how little snow there was when we were there. Not just like, oh, it hasn't snowed much. More like, that's grass.
Right.
You know how like when you're on a chairlift, you go, wow, that looks like a pretty intense run. But if you see it with what is just grass and field, you're like, oh, I should be able to do that. That's just,
right.
I could damn near walk down that thing. In any event. So I went with my brother. He was able to take some time off, and it was his first time skiing in a long time. So he was having a rough go of it. He was not very trusting of his abilities. It compounded with the fact that the snow wasn't particularly fantastic, a little warm. So you get that kind of slushy,
The snow wasn't particularly there.
It was hard to ski over the mud. The rocks were kind of in the way, but we had a good time, and it was good brother time. So I was talking to my mom this weekend, and she's like, hey, I haven't talked to your brother yet. I hope he got home safely. Just how moms would say. And I said, because this is a perfect opportunity to say this, I said, well, I've been sworn to secrecy about what happened. And if you know my mom, which I think you do a little bit, her mind immediately goes to, like the most obscure, insane outcome that possibly could have happened. Like, he's not dead, but he's close to it. And so she's like, oh my God, did he break his collarbone again? Because he did that in 7th grade when he went skiing. And I was like, oof, well.
Your brother has weak collarbones.
I'm like, I've been told not to say anything. And she's like, God dang it. You got to tell me what's going on. He doesn't have Friend Find Me on there. And I'm like, well, Sarah's involved. That's his wife's name. I'm like, it's okay. Like, I think she's with him. She's like, she's with him. Like, what did they do with the kids? And I'm like, I don't know. They wanted to be together for Valentine's Day. Like, all of that is true. They wanted to be together on Valentine's Day. She is with him. They are with him at home.
Such a jerk. You're such a jerk.
She says, well, I got to go. I'm going to call your brother. So she calls my brother, leaves a voicemail. My brother texts me the voicemail transcription. Hey, Josh said you might have got hurt. Hope you're okay. Let me know what's going on. He texts this back to me, giggle, 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 and takes a picture of himself, like sitting in a chair with his arm kind of like this. And then screenshots back to me, loading that picture into ChatGPT that says, put me in a cast in a hospital room in the mountains.
Oh, boy.
And so it's this ongoing thread of me and my brother changing all these pictures. Like, okay, that's good, but try this picture instead. So he ends up with this picture. Here you go.
Oh, he's got a head wrapped as well. Nice.
He's got his head wrapped.
Nice.
With
good touch.
With a cast on his arm. And then he's had this picture of himself in a boot. All of his kids' toys are in the background. I'm like, well, that looks stupid. Put yourself in a hospital room. So ChatGPT puts him on the hospital floor.
As far as I could make it, Ma. I crawled into the hospital.
So he sends those pictures to my mom and says, here you go. And she loses her mind. And so then I text her back last.
You guys are the worst sons of all time.
I know.
You just terrorize your mother.
So then I text her last night and I said, how's Jordan doing? And I said, I hope he's recovering. And she's like, not a nice thing to do to an old lady. And so then I texted a picture of myself with an eye patch and a broken arm. And I said, I was also injured, also with the head wrap in the hospital room. And she
you
just
look like Civil War veterans.
Right. That's what I look like. And so, anyways, this will be way better of a visual podcast than an audio to kind of see the whole transcription of it. But if you know anything about me, I love to pull all these little funny pranks. Ha ha! My brother's injured and my mom doesn't know. Ha 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 ha!
ChatGPT, put my brother in a tree.
Like skiing. Oh, that would be a good one. I've got one of him falling. I bet I can take the video, like take it to Sora and just be like, make this video, like instead of him just sliding and falling on his butt, like make him tumble down the mountain. I might do that one. That one would be funny too.
Yeah, I think she'll enjoy that.